Good morning and welcome to this month's edition of Conversations with the Mayor, live from Revere Beach. Once again, it's a pleasure to be sitting down with you, Dan, and talking about the events going on within the city. And of course, this month we want to talk a lot about what's going on down the beach and some of the other summer programs here in Revere. Let's start off with the beach. I mean, of course, we've got the sand sculpting event, which I'm sure you've been down, checking out the sculptors. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was down here earlier this week when they were delivering the sand, and that really started this whole week-long period of time that I know the Revere Beach Partnership, as well as many other volunteers, contributors, have all been looking forward to since probably January when they started this whole process and planning what has now turned into Revere's signature event, this sand sculpting festival. And they've really done, I mean, I know it hasn't officially kicked off yet, but, you know, just by what I see behind me here, they've done a tremendous job. They've expanded the amount of sculptors and sculptures that people will be able to view. And I know that they've, have a terrific fireworks show planned for Saturday night at 9 o'clock. And just a whole weekend full of fun events for families and individuals who want to come down and partake in this great yearly festival. This being, I think, their 10th year. So.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. And if I could throw a plug for Revere TV, those of you who can't make it down to the beach this Saturday night, we're going to actually be broadcasting live. So if you're not able to come down, see the award ceremony, see the fireworks and so forth, you'll be able to actually go on to Revere TV on Channel 8 or view it live on reveretv.org. Yeah, so that's
great information.
Yeah,
great information.
Yeah. Dan, the Revere Beach Partnership, of course, is responsible for kind of organizing all of this and putting the whole thing together. They have other activities going on down the beach this summer. The Farmers Market. There's a number of other things that, of course, the Rumney Marsh Cemetery burial folks are putting on, the bocce tournament. A whole host of activities. How does that make you feel as the mayor when you see these things going on all summer long down here?
Well, that to me is part of our culture here in the city of Revere. We've got a beautiful coastline, and Revere, as you know, has long been a place for people to come for both active and passive recreation. I think that the partnership, along with our rec department and other volunteers that want to see Revere thrive, have done a terrific job in bringing a lot of these. Whether it's a bocce tournament, volleyball tournaments, other cultural type experiences. I know that every one of our parks during the day has been taken up for kids to benefit from. They've got storytelling, they've got barbecues, they've got every day as a matter of course. Kids are able to eat for free at most of our parks down there. So, to encourage, obviously to get, to help kids get the nutrition they need, but also to bring kids out to the park and get them out of the house and to get active. So really, I think everybody has done a terrific job in putting together a great summer full of events.
Yeah, and it's a great segue because, beyond the beach and the activities on the beach, and you mentioned the parks and the kids, there's the recreation department, now headed by Mike Hinojosa, and a whole host of activities going on in that area.
Yeah, Michael's done a terrific job. I mean, we've always had a very strong Parks and Rec department. But, Michael has indicated to me that he wanted to bring in some additional events and programs that would really fit all ages. He's brought in the Friday Night Lights with, which will take kids from, I believe, 10 to 14 years of age and go play some pickup basketball between 5 and 9 o'clock at night. Another great way to get kids out, get them off the street and out of their houses and into some real productive, fun sports activities. He's continuing on with the movie nights here on Thursday nights. They've got a bunch of field trips. If anybody hasn't picked up that green brochure that I know you know about and I know about, they can certainly go to Revere Rec, that's revererec.com, and find out about all the activities they have, or they can call the rec department directly at 781-286-8190 and get all the information that they need in terms of having a really fun summer. I know it's hard to believe we're in almost into late July. So the summer's going by. So, but and I can't think of a summer like this one for a long, long time. This is like the summer you used to have when you were a kid. Those hot summer days that seem to go on forever. And while it can be great for beach weather, we also have to be mindful of people, particularly our senior citizens out there, that we have to keep an eye on, make sure that they're staying as cool as they can, because these temperatures are elevating, as you know, well into the 90s. So
you mentioned the long, hot summer days, and as a kid, they seem to go on forever. And I remembered as a kid some days saying, when will this day ever end? Today, I long for those days.
Yeah, I have to say, once the sun goes down, it does feel a lot cooler in these days. But nonetheless, they are great. I was saying to myself, what a great vacation week this would be this week if you actually had off. Terrific beach weather, and nice. Nice to get away from that rain that we all had to experience and endure through the month of June. So, as warm as it is. I think as New Englanders, we live for this weather, these 3 or 4 months that we get to enjoy, come out of our houses, get rid of the heavy jackets, and be able to absorb some of that vitamin D out of the sunshine.
So a reward for the winters we put up with, yeah?
Yeah.
Getting back to the Recs department and the activities that got planned this summer, and one huge one that I saw there is, if I remember right, it's going to be called the Revere Cup competition between the various departments, police department, fire, and so forth. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's another Michael Hinojosa special. I think he's putting that. He's having the DPW, police department, fire department compete, I think, in like obstacle courses and tug of wars and all this stuff. And so I think it's gonna be really good for departmental camaraderie, and again, giving our workforce a little bit of fun to participate in too, along with our residents. So I think that should be some fun, and good competitive fun. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it.
And I think that's going to take place sometime in mid-August, and it's going to be part of the Parks and Recreation's a major program that they'll be having going on all that day, I believe. Yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
So a lot of great, exciting things going on at this point. Beyond Mike, who's fairly new as the Parks and Recreation Center director, you've got a new director that you recently announced, and that's Stephen Fielding, heading up the Senior Center department. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, Stephen is right now, he's assistant director. Al Morelli has announced his intention to us that he would be retiring in January. Al's done a terrific job for, I think, 36 years, and he's going into well-deserved retirement. We've brought Stephen in so he could learn a little bit under Al's tutelage for the next 6 months. And, I'm hopeful that Stephen will pick up where Al left off and actually build on programs that are already in existence there. Stephen is very excited about this opportunity. He loves working with the seniors. We have a great really active group of senior citizens in this community, and I know that they're willing to work with Stephen hand in hand and growing those programs down there and really kind of rejuvenating that senior center. And so I'm very excited for Stephen because I can see his enthusiasm, and I know that he has a lot of great ideas and programs he wants to bring, and it'll be fun to watch him roll those out as he grows into that position.
I actually happened to run into Stephen a couple of weeks ago on the beach up in Maine, actually, just before he took over that position or started to work there, and he was very excited about it, looking forward to doing some great work.
Yeah. I think the seniors will really like Steve, and I know the feeling is going to be mutual. Steve is he's a very compassionate guy. He's long talked to me about senior programming and things like that, things he'd like to see. And so really, it's really what made him a logical choice for me to appoint him as our next director of Elder Affairs.
All right. Well, moving on to other subjects within the city. Any new developments going on with the Broadway renovation and developments down there? And before we go into that, I have to say, and Debbie and I were talking about it on the Revere Review a couple of weeks ago about how great it looks to go up Broadway at night and to see those lights come on, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, I remember the first time when we flipped on the lights, we turned off the old lights and flipped on the new lights, and we had the American flags there. I felt like I was driving down Pennsylvania Avenue. You know, it looked just so spectacular. I mean, you know, but that's really the vision that we have. We want to make not just our central business district. Ultimately, we want to make every district, every business district in the city look appealing and look nice for people to be proud of and to feel good about. You know, as far as our future plans, you may be aware of, this is a 3-year program going forward. And so we completed year 1. We're going into year 2. We now have removed all the old lighting. This new lighting, by the way, the city owns, so we're not paying rent for those poles anymore, anything like that. We own them, so which is a very, very positive thing. It's a direction we're moving towards. We're going to be removing all of the old landscaping that's there and putting in new trees, kind of space them out better and put more emphasis on the new poles that are down there. And then make some sidewalk and street improvements as well, some bump outs, things like that. And then also going forward in year 3, the final phase, we're going to be talking about, actually, there's another piece I want to bring up if I could, but the final phase will be storefront and signage improvement programs that will be in conjunction with the business owners. The other thing we're looking into now as part of the second phase, and we're going through an environmental study, is to knock down those garages and possibly the police station behind City Hall to create more parking for City Hall and for people that want to visit businesses that are in the central business district. So we have just passed an ordinance that removes all the meters on Pleasant Street, Hyde Street, Foster, and Yeaman Street. So people will get 2-hour parking there. They won't have to be struggling looking for quarters anymore to put in the meter. Not many of us are carrying quarters all the time that much, and so it becomes difficult. And I'll tell you, parking tickets, while there might only be $10, there's nothing that irritates people more than a parking ticket.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we can kind of give people more of a chance, be a little more business friendly. That's what our goal is.
Oh, that's exciting. That's really great. Other things that are happening on Broadway within City Hall, actually. I read recently that you're going to be moving your office upstairs to the 2nd floor. Tell us a little bit about that.
That is, I mean, we're very short on space in City Hall, and if you've ever, and I know you have, been into my office and other offices there, they're in desperate need of some sort of renovation, remodeling. And while I know the city is not flush with cash, there are some reserve accounts that I may look to and ask the city council for permission down the road. This isn't something that's going to happen this month or next, but we are looking to renovate some offices on the 1st floor. And yes, I am looking to move my office upstairs behind the city council chambers. That will give us more room, and it will bring, I think, a more professional look to City Hall and certainly the mayor's office that I think really, really needs it. You know, when you're bringing investors into the city, sometimes the first place they see is the mayor's office. Yep. And if you walk in and the office is, you know, run down and shabby and old, it doesn't, you know, that's kind of representative of the entire city. And I don't think it puts a good face on the city. And so our goal is to not have a big flashy office or anything like that, but our goal is to have a place that we can feel proud of when people come into this city and want to spend tens of millions of dollars. We want them to know that we're a first-class operation.
Yeah, and not to mention you'll be a lot closer to the city council now, yeah?
Which I'm sure will make them so happy once they.
Well, that's great. You know, some of the other things that we were talking about in the past, have always on people's mind is the casino.
Yeah.
You know, what's the current situation with the casino? Once again, we'll ask, what's happening?
Well, you and I were joking prior to sitting down that I should just say, can you hit the rewind button on the last 3 meetings we had? Every time I think we're close, you know, it seems as though we take another step backwards. And the reality of it is that Revere is all set. I mean, we haven't signed off, and I think everybody's aware of that, that we haven't signed off on our host community agreement yet, because I am not going to until the city of Boston has negotiated theirs. The holdup is the city of Boston right now. They are still negotiating their host community agreement. It's been a long, arduous, frustrating process. I'm sure for Caesars and Suffolk Downs, it has been for me, because I'm anxious to put people to work. There's a lot of people. I've got a stack of resumes in my office this thick of people that need to go to work, not even want to go to work. They need to go to work, and this is going to create 4,000 permanent jobs, and we can't go any further until Boston signs off. So we've been in this holding pattern. I wish and hope that Boston will strike a deal with Suffolk and Caesars so we can both ink our deals with them and get this vote on, because after these host community agreements are signed, we'll go to a ballot question. And at that point, it becomes real. Because if the city of Revere embraces this project, now we can go forward and Suffolk Downs and Caesars can present their application to the Gaming Commission, who in turn will select the one applicant that will get the license in eastern Massachusetts.
And that's the important part. And I know that, talking to different people, and I'm reading some newspaper articles, people are concerned about the fact that Steve Wynn with Everett negotiated their mitigation package. They had the vote in Everett. Everybody approved it. And now they're ready to move on to the next phase. And everybody's thinking, well, Everett's got the leg up. In effect, I mean, from my perspective, that's not true. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you're 100% right. It is not true. It is not a matter of who puts their application in first. It's a matter of who puts in the best application. And when you look at the two different applications, if we can ever get to that point, Suffolk Downs will have 4 times the land than Everett has. Suffolk Downs already has a racetrack there, so it would be not only introducing a new industry, but preserving an industry that's been there for close to 80 years. Suffolk and Caesars, financially, along with their partners, Joe O'Donnell, has just as equally as strong financial resume as does Steve Wynn. Mm-hmm. They've already committed to spending $40 to $50 million on infrastructure, a flyover on Boardman Street that'll take people right into the casino and right out of the casino. I mean, they have said that they are going to be the first green casino in the entire world. I think, given all that this project will bring, I would not ever rule out Suffolk's proposal, So I think what's important for people, the overriding factor of this whole thing is it's not who submits the application first, it's who has the best submission. And so people just have to be patient and hope, at least those that are proponents like I am, hope that this comes to a successful conclusion with the city of Boston so we can get to a referendum.
Yeah, let's hope we get there sooner than later, yeah?
I'm with you.
The last subject I wanted to talk about today was there was a recent article ending a long-fought battle against ethanol trains coming into the city of Revere to the Global Petroleum Terminal Facility in Revere. Global withdrew their application after some legislation was submitted by Senator DiDomenico and Senator Petrocelli in the State House. Recently, I just read that, of course, the governor, I think, made some changes to that basically made it a 2-year moratorium versus just outright rescinding it. What are your thoughts on that whole issue, that whole development?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a fan of any ethanol coming into the city, nor any other hazardous material, but I think we all realize that's unrealistic. There are hazardous materials that will continue to come into our city, and whether it's by rail, by boat, by truck, however it gets here, I've always viewed my job as mayor to, regardless of the method of transportation, to make sure that the city is as prepared as we can be to protect our residents against any malfunction or accident that could happen. So, I haven't got involved in the fight as much as I've got involved in working with our chief of the fire department and our emergency preparedness committee to make sure that regardless of how any hazardous material may be transported into our city, that we're as prepared as we possibly can be to protect our residents against any any of those possibilities. So, I give our state legislature, especially Senator Petroselli, an awful lot of credit for putting up that roadblock the way he did. It caused their Global's withdrawal of their application. I don't know what the future holds now, as you alluded to, with the governor vetoing that legislation. I don't really know, what the next steps for Global might be. But my position is going to remain constant. It's going to be continuing to do all we can to make sure we're ready for anything that may come in our direction.
I thought one of the good things coming out of it, and we talked about it on our last Revere Review, was the fact that here was a citizen group that mounted, if you will, a campaign against this whole thing, worked with the various legislators within, our legislative body from the State House, and got them to listen, got them to do something to help them further this cause, and we're finally able to win, their case, so to speak. And I said, it was a great example of the democracy at work, and the people's legislators, working with the community to get something done. And I said, why can't we export that to Washington? Yeah. So I think there was a really great thing that came out of there. So finally, some citizen activity that came to a positive end.
Absolutely. And it shows that you can fight City Hall. That if people do band together and they join together, that it truly is a democracy. As much as some people may think, my vote doesn't count or my voice, isn't heard. That's not the case. We do listen. The legislature listens. The governor listens. The president listens.
Yeah.
So hopefully Congress listens. So, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, all right, Dan. Thank you very much again. That does it for this month. Once again, always a pleasure, and appreciate talking to you.
Always my pleasure, Ed.
All right, take care.
Take care.